Lesson number 15, how to trade using trading zones. In lesson number 15, you will learn how to draw and trade using trading zones on the charts. These are going to be levels to look for when you draw your own trading zones on your charts. You're going to look for swing highs and swing lows, overnight high and low from the overnight session, naked volume points of controls on the 5-day, 5-minute market profile chart. You're going to look for gaps on the 5-day, 5-minute market profile chart. And you're also going to look for scene of the crime on candlestick charts. And I'll explain all these, what they all are. So right here we have a blank canvas, okay? That's the best way to think of it. It's a blank canvas. There's no trade levels, nothing like that. Our job is we need to figure out, as price comes down or as price moves higher, where will price find resistance or support levels? These are going to be high probability trade levels that we're going to want to take, but we need to do a little homework. Okay, so first things first. What we're going to do is we're going to use a rectangle to draw these zones. So we now know we have a low here, correct? At 1831. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mouse, I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to add single drawing. From here I'm going to go to rectangle, okay? And I'm just going to do something like this, real basic. Then I'm going to right click, edit profiles, okay? And I'm going to change the value from 1831 for the bottom to, we'll say, 1833. Now for the time, because the bottom is going to be this level down here, so we're going to send that guy all the way to the right a good year, okay? And now, what's going to happen is you'll actually see, okay, how it extends all the way to the right, right? So we never have to keep adjusting it. Now for this, for the left-hand side, we're just going to keep it right where it's at, okay? The time, you could leave it however you want, because it's only you'll only see it from the very beginning, okay? And then for the rectangle, you can leave that visible, yes. We'll want to change the color. Pick a color that works for you. I like purple, okay, for my zones. Purple, and then select OK. Then what I'll do is we now have a zone, right? Now let's look for another zone to draw. Well, remember, we want to look for swing highs and swing lows. That's where price is visually going to probably stop and pause and reverse, and you'll be able to see buyers step in, okay? So right here we have another swing low, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, go to duplicate drawing, and we'll just bring this guy right up here, okay? Then what we'll need to do is zoom in. What we want to do is we want to put the very bottom, okay, at the very low end, okay? So the lowest point, we'll put our mouse over, look up here, right, for our lows, and it's 1850.50, right? So we're going to go 1850.50, and I like to draw 2-point zones, 1852.50, okay? Most of my zones are going to be 2 points, and the reason being is because I don't know if price is going to come right to it, okay? If it's going to maybe come up a couple ticks before or a point before, right? Because a lot of times as price is coming down, it's going to want to make a potential lower or a higher low, right? So what I like to use is 2 points to the very back of the zone, right? And then my stop might go 1 point to the very behind that zone, right? So it gives it a little leeway. So if price is coming down, maybe I'm looking for entry of 250 maybe go right in the middle of the zone, right? At 250, my stop loss will be 1 point below the lowest price, right? Just in case it pierces it by a tick or two and then reverses. So now we have two zones, right? So now I'm going to just keep looking for all the swing lows. That's it, okay? And kind of go here and then duplicate, right? Go here, duplicate, go here. Okay, so now we have levels on the downside, right, as price is falling. Now we need to look for them on the upside, right? Well, let's take a look here. Okay, so let's go back to this day. And I'm going to show you why these zones are so perfect. So we had a high up here of 1992.75. Okay, so on the upside, we're going to go 1992.75, and then we'll put this zone at 1990.75, right? So it's a 2-point zone. Well, look at what price did here. It came back up, right? Tested, but look at what happened almost a week later, right? About almost 2 weeks later, we came back and we retested this zone. And look at how perfect our zone was. Price came right to it, came up to 1992 even. Okay, and remember I said sometimes it might come up about a point short. Maybe it might pierce it a little bit, but here all we had to do was have a resting order, and we would have actually taken very little heat to none. Okay, on this entire trade, and we could have picked up almost 70 points on this trade to the downside so far. Okay, so zones are very important, and they're very good visually, right? So now as I start to look for smaller zones, all I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of take the swing highs and swing lows for the current day, right? Because I know if we rally, all that's going to happen is all these levels that I'm marking off, they're swing highs, right? Remember our trends, they're lower highs, right? Every time we rally, make a high, we fail, that's a lower high. All I'm doing is I'm marking these off because later on when price rallies, it's going to already know all these levels. Just like in one of the very first lessons we went through, how to figure out the trend, you saw even a couple days later when price rallied back, it would stop literally to the tick. So that's all that we're doing right here. We're kind of doing that same exact thing, okay? But we're just doing it visually. Look at this, right? I'm just drawing it. It's not magic. It's just right here was a swing high. We broke this low, right? That's how I know it's a swing high. And look at price. Price just came up, touched it, and now it's starting to roll back over. Okay? So now we have our zones. I know it can't be this simple, but it is, okay? All you need to do is look for very significant highs and lows, okay? Look at this. I drew this trend line, okay? This swing high, just right here, okay? Based off this. But look, price rallied and failed, right? Right here, price rallied and failed. Price rallied and failed. Price came down and rallied, right? Old support becomes new resistance. That's all this is, okay? So now, something like this, duplicate. I'll draw this zone right here. And guess what? I'm now going to be looking for potential buy point down near these lows, which is old resistance, right? Becomes new support. Very first touch will become new support. Okay? So that's all it is for drawing your zones, okay? Now, a couple other things. Scene of the crime. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to box this off right here, okay? We know price really kind of fell apart right here, okay, on this candle. Once price fell apart, right, because we consolidated, right, went sideways and then just fell. And we fell hard, right, just sell. Okay, this is what I call SOC, the scene of the crime. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this off, okay, and I'm going to know that's the scene of a crime, meaning that's where price really start to accelerate this entire down move, okay, from its highest point. As price rallies back up, kind of back to the scene of the crime, sellers step in. This happens about 95% of the time, okay? So that's how you kind of manage the scene of the crime. Next, let's go over the point of controls on the 5-minute charts, okay? So right here we have a 5-day, 5-minute market profile chart, regular trading hours. We went over this in market profile. What I look for on here are what's called, I call them VPOCs, so you could call them NVPOCs, right? Naked volume points of control. You'll hear some people call them volume point of control or virgin points of control. Okay, what I look for is these levels right here. Okay, so price closed today. Let's zoom in. Price closed way down here today. Okay, but what happened was this level tomorrow is going to act as a virgin point of control. Okay, because it hasn't been touched during regular trading hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line like I did. I'm going to put in the virgin point of control, and all I'm using is a regular trend line, right? So just or a price line. Just right click, add drawing, add price level. That's all that I'm doing here, okay? So right here, you could see today, this is all we saw yesterday, right? Price actually ended up closing down here. So tomorrow, which was today, had a virgin point of control, right? Right here at the 1949.75 level. Okay, so this, as price falls, right, we're going to want to look to be a buyer because we want to play that very first touch. Well, as you could see, price came down, right? And literally touched it to the tick and rallied about 10 S&P points, okay? So these are probably the closest thing to the Holy Grail, okay? Right here, we have a virgin point of control, okay, that hasn't been touched, right? Because we gapped and we moved higher yesterday, okay? Well, this hasn't been touched, and it's in 1932. We also have a gap fill, right? Well, look at what the low was. This is a real time, and the low was 1932.86, so it came, or 75. So it came about 3 ticks away from touching, okay? So that's how powerful these guys are. We still have another VPOC right down here in 1921. So over the next day or two, if price actually falls down, I'll look to be a buyer. Next, I want to go over gaps, okay? A gap is when price closes, okay, and let me clear this chart real quick. As price closes, okay, we see that price gaps to the very next day, right? So we see, we'll grab our price level, right? Closing price right here was 1931, so we'll put it right here at 1931, edit, go 1931, and we have a gap, okay? Now, we had a gap yesterday, right here, so all I'll do is I'll duplicate this, bring this up, and put the gap right here at 1966, right? Because it closed, well, look at price, came right down, and we bounced. So far, if we open lower tomorrow, we might have a gap because I know right now that price closed right here, okay, in 1943. And a quarter, right, because I could put my mouse on and it'll tell me 1943.25 was the close. So these are ways to draw levels on the charts. They will make you profitable. They'll make you successful. You just need to kind of understand how they work and watch the videos on market profile and all that. Coming up next, lesson number 16.